Ippo has a flaw, a real one, a serious one, and it's not the one people usually point to. It's not fear and it's not weakness. The guy's durability alone breaks the laws of what a featherweight body should be able to survive. The actual flaw is simpler and a lot more embarrassing than that. Depending on who's standing across the ring, Ippo fights up or he fights down, and he doesn't get to pick which one shows up. Give him a straight fight and he fights up to it. Turns into an absolute nightmare in real time. Give him a fight that refuses to be straight, and for a few rounds, he fights down to it instead, turning back into a rookie getting hit with the oldest tricks in the book. Just 2 fights prove this beyond any argument. Neither one is the fight people usually bring up. But in complete contrast with those 2 fights, start with Sendo. Sendo and Ippo are close enough in everything. Skill, power, output, so much so that neither guy gets a second to think his way out of anything. It's pure exchange. And in that exact environment, Ippo gets better in real time. Nothing about that fight is a trick. This is just 2 monsters agreeing to hit each other as hard as possible until someone stops standing. This is Ippo's best case scenario, because a straightforward fight is the one puzzle his gym already trained him to solve. That's Ippo fighting up, and it's the best version of him that exists anywhere in the manga pre-retirement. Now watch what happens the second somebody refuses to fight straight. Watch him fight down instead. Kojima doesn't need to outbox Ippo. He just needs Ippo to be Ippo. He gets in his head before the bell even rings, disrespects him, his corner, all of it. Until Ippo does exactly what Kojima is betting he'll do. Throw first, out of pure anger. That's the entire plan. Kojima is not hunting for a fight, man. This dude was hunting for a counter, thrown the instant Ippo commits. And man, did it work. Ippo eats a shot that ends most careers on the spot. Any other featherweight in this manga not named Sendo is unconscious before he even hits the canvas. Ippo just gets rocked, resets, and ends the fight with 1 punch of his own a few seconds later. But the trick worked exactly as designed. Ippo just happens to be built out of bricks, and the Malcolm Ghetto fight is a worse version of the same flaw, because Ghetto doesn't need power at all. Malcolm Ghetto the magician is winning fights using a glove. Specifically his own left glove, laced loose on purpose, so that when he throws a jab with an open, unclenched fist, the glove flies further than the punch actually travels. It buys him maybe an inch or 2 of real reach. From Ippo's side of the ring though, it looks like the man teleported. Ippo cannot time him, he cannot read him. He gets walked backward by an opponent who isn't even hitting that hard. This is a man solving world-class boxing with a shoelace, man. And for a real and proper stretch of that fight, it completely works. Ippo is not overpowered here. He is just plain confused, and confusion is the one thing this gym never actually trained him to handle. He starts eating punches standing still because his brain doesn't have a file open for opponent is doing a magic trick with his own glove. Then Ghetto finally commits to a real punch. Fist clenched, no trick attached, and it lands completely differently, heavier, faster than the rhythm Ippo had spent the whole fight reading. The gap between the fake version and the real one rattles him worse than the punch itself does. And it's only in that flustered half second that dodging even occurs to him as an option, not before. It genuinely never crossed his mind while he was still standing there trying to solve the trick, instead of just not being where it landed. The moment he realizes, he starts moving instead of absorbing. And a few exchanges later, he lands the liver shot that ends the magic for good. Think about this. Dodging was never a skill Ippo was missing. He drills defense every single day at the gym. It just did not occur to him as an available option while he was locked into trying to outthink the trick, instead of simply avoiding it. It took getting rattled by the real thing to even remember dodging was on the table. That is the real thread connecting Kojima and Ghetto. And it's not bad luck. Kamogawa builds fighters on guts, endurance, power, and the willingness to eat 3 to land 1. That works perfectly against fighters like Sendo, because brute force cancels out brute force. It has no real answer for a guy baiting one specific counter, or a guy fighting with magic tricks. Against those two, the whole game plan simplifies down to survive and swing. And it only works at all because Ippo's body is a genuine anomaly. Against anyone who combined those same tricks with real world-class fundamentals, the plan was always going to fail. Which is more or less exactly what happened. And this is why it's important right now, in the present tense. not old chapters. Everything happening in Ippo's retirement, watching fights from the outside, having a trainer's perspective, and being a second, is the one thing that specific Flaw was always missing. You don't fix inflexibility by hitting a heavier back. You fix it by finally being forced to think like the guy setting the trap instead of the guy walking straight into it. Ippo spent his whole career either fighting up to the best the world had to throw at him, or fighting down to anyone clever enough to make the fight ugly instead of straight. Retirement might be the first time in his life somebody's actually teaching him a third option. How to just fight what's actually in front of him, whatever shape it takes, instead of only the two shapes his gym ever built him for.